know what I like about that is they replaced that headshot that looks nothing like me anymore with something that looks vaguely more like me today. So good job, control room. All right. Meta is back at it. It's been a while since we've spoken about Meta and their metaverse. They are now attempting to influence digital policy, and this time it is in the metaverse. In a discussion paper released on Friday, Meta highlighted the collective effort going into building the metaverse, citing its Metaverse Standards Forum that it helped start this year. You'll remember that's a forum of tech companies, both in Web 2 and Web 3, committed to creating the metaverse standards of the future. The company said it's important for policymakers to set fair rules for Web 3 technologies to keep people safe and promote innovation. Zach, I'm tossing it off to you. Meta is still pushing this metaverse narrative, although they have several layoffs and have cut back the budget on their metaverse strategy lately.
I think Facebook is highly crypto bullish. I think we often forget that they tried to launch a stablecoin. Remember that, guys? Remember when they launched Libra and it didn't go anywhere and it got smacked around by regulators the world over? They're all about this Web3 thing, and they want to make sure that their positions are being heard in DC. So it makes a ton of sense that they want to champion some of these things mentioned in here, including interoperability, the ability for digital assets that exist in one metaverse to travel to the next. So those are important things, and someone should be advocating for it. It's sort of maybe a messenger that's not going to be entirely well received in DC, but someone needs to be advancing the causes of metaverse interoperability if we're going to have a more immersive internet experience that is actually cool. That's my thoughts.
I'll take it from there. I got some thoughts on this one. Sorry, Jen. We opened up the segment. It's just my time to shine. It is my time to shine. Let's talk about stock price a little bit. So Meta is actually down 63% year to date, and now they want to throw more money into this whole. Mark Zuckerberg has been taking a lot of heat for pushing so much R&D money into the Metaverse project. It's been a loss leader for Facebook so far, and of course, it's also sort of hurt their stock price because that's the whole pitch, right? Meta changed its entire narrative from Facebook to Meta. They're all in on the metaverse, and a lot of people have not been as warm to it as Mark Zuckerberg would have thought of. I think in his initial pitches, he somewhat decided this was going to occur because of metaverse is not that much of a project yet. It's maybe 10 years away. People are not interacting with the metaverse so far. So he's looking into the future as a technologist should do, but as a public company, it's getting a lot of heat. And now I'm looking at this headline. They're trying to go back into Washington, D.C. after their failed attempts with Libra, the stablecoin, or DM, the stablecoin, I should say. And they're putting more money into that. Like, lobbyists and lobbying are expensive, and they're going to keep doing that. And the last time they did it did not go so well. And they put a lot of money into that. So I am not super bullish on this, but who knows? We'll see what happens. Zach, throw it over to you. Well, actually, Jen, you should go first.
Yeah, I'll quickly jump in there. I thought the interoperability part was also interesting, Zach, because they said, they want people to be able to operate in their metaverse and then take the digital assets that they earn there, that they've brought into that metaverse, and bring it to any other world or any other metaverse. It made me start thinking, is Facebook or Meta the right company to allow this to happen, given, the walled gardens that we always talk about in Web3? Facebook is definitely one of those walled gardens that owned Web2. Web3's whole mantra is to move away from that. And this interoperability piece is something that's already being solved in the Web3 gaming space. And so is Meta the right company to solve this problem by talking to regulators in Washington? Or are the people who are already building in this space already offering interoperability within the Web3 gaming space for people to take assets from game to game, the ones who are going to do it? I don't know, Zach. I know you're into gaming, kind of. What do you think?
I am? Okay. Yeah, sure. Whatever.
I mean,
Meta is big.
I mean, we all talk about so many things that we are that into.
Meta, they create a big wake. They are a big player. And so they may have the ear of lawmakers in a way that some scrubby Web3 developer really wouldn't. So I think, Web3 is indeed about a more decentralized, less centralized power. But DC works around people who accumulate power and wield it well. We saw that with SBF in DC. He was trying to be a figurehead in DC, and it backfired pretty spectacularly. Of course, now he's being invited by Maxine Waters to come do his apology tour on Capitol Hill. So maybe it did actually work out pretty well for him ultimately in the end. But it is a fact of the world that you need to have a big presence in DC to advance these conversations around emerging technologies. And is Meta the ideal messenger for some of these things? No, absolutely not. But if they are going to advance it in a good faith effort, especially around interoperability standards, then more power to them. Someone needs to take on those lobbying bills. And I would much rather it be Meta in this instance than some scrappy upstart metaverse project that's looking to make Web3 interoperability a thing. So someone has got to do it, or else walled gardens are what the world knows. And I think that conversation needs to be advanced in a way that is comfortable to U.S. lawmakers at present. Those are my thoughts.
I like those thoughts.
I dig them. Yeah.
Damn, you guys just violently agreed. That is amazing.
We love you, Zach.
No, I don't think I have much more on that topic, to be honest. Like Facebook and Meta, like their presence in DC is somewhat expected at this point. Maybe I do have one more thought that I want to bring up, and that's the fact that Mark Zuckerberg is so detested and disliked among tech circles, even though he hasn't done anything. So I think this is something interesting to bring up with SBF and Mark Zuckerberg, since they're sort of both in the headlines at the moment. What is the reason for like the dislike and distaste between the two of them? Because SBF was given so much love, he was a media darling, and yet he's caused this huge problem for so many people with millions of customers and billions of dollars lost. Mark Zuckerberg, on the other hand, he tried to build Diem. He tried to build a stable coin that brought in actually a lot of institutions into crypto, and now he's trying to build a metaverse. And in some ways, he's almost just as reviled as SBF. It's very odd. Zach, I want to throw that over to you, get your thoughts on it.
I mean, it's always been easy to score cheap political points by bashing on Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like Facebook and misinformation and election tampering and just the general kind of level of trash that has surfaced in Facebook in recent years was something that resonated with a wide swath of the American population, because everyone's on Facebook, for better or worse. Not everyone is on FTX, right? Crypto is still niche. The dollar figures are certainly there in terms of harm caused. But I think as something that is sort of a shared pain point, there's definitely much more that resonates with US voters when you're talking about how Facebook is terrible than talking about, I don't know, FTX and whatever comes after it. So I think that is part of the package, right? Like Libra came out against the headwinds of stuff that like people hated Facebook for reasons that weren't associated with crypto or stablecoins, right? And so when that message was taken to Capitol Hill, it was met with significant blowback. Hopefully that's not the case this time around. And I think sort of the Web2 figurehead scene has also changed, right? I mean, you have Elon Musk at Twitter. You have Bezos kind of receding into the background a bit. You still have Zuckerberg to kick around or to hear out. And I think it's going to be interesting to see which lawmakers do both of those things. Jen, I'm giving it to you.
Zach, thank you for tying that all together. You've just done such a good job at rounding up all of our thoughts today.